Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Ask Dr. Dansinger. Today, we are focusing on smoking cessation. When people quit smoking, they always talk about replacing their cigarettes with food. Then they have to worry about weight gain. They have to worry about their A1C being raised. Also, when it comes to food, good, healthy food and herbs could actually replace some of the triggers for smoking. And we're going to get into all of that in just a moment, right here on Ask Dr. Dansinger with Dr. Michael Dansinger with Diabetes Reversal Partners. He practices in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Florida, Virginia, and Minnesota. So if you do have Medicare, make sure to check with your doctor and get a referral to him for help with your diabetes too. Reversal. Welcome, Dr. Danziger. This is a really big topic. Many people avoid quitting smoking due to the fear of weight gain. I really want to start there. Can you explain the psychological reasons why weight gain often accompanies smoking cessation?
Thanks, Kim. It's a great topic today. Thanks for the opportunity to have this conversation. Yes, cigarettes are nasty. Nicotine and tobacco are nasty. And I can see why people get hooked on it and why it's so hard to quit. And there's many reasons why cigarettes are hard to quit, but one of them is people know that they're at risk for weight gain when they quit. And that's for a few reasons. The withdrawal symptoms from quitting, especially from nicotine withdrawal, um, does make you hungrier. And also, nicotine speeds the metabolism artificially. And then when you quit, then your metabolism can slow and you get cravings for food. And if people aren't careful, they'll just eat whatever. And whatever means sugar and unhealthy fats and refined starches. And so people need a strategy for how they're going to eat when they quit smoking. So we need a strategy that's going to help support brain hormones and neurotransmitters, that's going to support a healthy metabolism, and that's going to help people keep away from sugar cravings.
Okay, so should we talk about one of the main triggers of smoking, which is anxiety? People who smoke have a lot of anxiety. They tell me we just did a poll in our network at the Global PAD Association, and one of the top three reasons for smoking is anxiety. So, which specific foods contain compounds that can help reduce anxiety, and how do they work within the body?
Yeah, so nicotine depletes magnesium, and that reduction in magnesium in the body can help fuel anxiety. And so an eating strategy is to eat foods that have magnesium. So all the leafy greens have magnesium. So spinach is a great example. And other greens have magnesium. So that's a good starting point. So it's just a reminder, all these greens are good for the body in so many ways. They have magnesium, so go for that. Also, their nuts have magnesium, and so almonds, walnuts, any nuts in moderation are really good for that. Um, Herbs and tea, chamomile tea has can be very calming, and um, uh, so those are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah, and
That
it has an apigenin that binds the brain receptors, I think, as well.
Ashwagandha is an herb that you
Another
can
one.
take that is an adaptogen that helps calming. And also, in addition to food, you just want to think calming thoughts. I mean, you can, you, so mind over matter is part of it, but yes, having a wide range of vegetables and fruits can help with the anxiety.
Yeah, even omega threes, the walnuts, the flax seeds, the chia seeds. Research actually I've read shows that it can reduce anxiety. And if you're looking at teas, what about some lavender tea? Can
Lavender,
also
yes.
And holy basil. That can
Yes.
also help with it.
Yes, thanks for pointing those out. Yes, I agree. You're absolutely right. Let's get back to omega 3s. So, um, cigarettes deplete omega 3s, and you want to replace those through the diet. And so, the healthiest source, um, so there's vegetarian and non-vegetarian sources of omega-3. So fish and seafood are great sources of EPA and DHA. These healthy fats are what the brain's made of. So you get your fish. So personal favorites include salmon and um, uh, tuna. So those are great. And for people who like sardines or other canned seafood, that can work as well. Um, uh, Other sources of omega 3s come from vegetarian sources like flax or nuts. Again, walnuts are pretty good for that. Um, Healthy oils as well. So there's lots of different sources of healthy omega 3s out there, but my favorite is fish.
Yeah, and if someone's experiencing some sort of acute anxiety while quitting, are there some simple food-based remedies that they could prepare? Maybe a smoothie with a lot of those ingredients. Maybe that might help.
Yes, I'd love to hear some of your ideas about that, Kim, if you have any.
No, I love smoothies. I think smoothies are one of my top ones. Think that you can mix so many different ingredients, all the ingredients that we mentioned just a few moments ago that would help doing that. I mean, anything, lots of different items that are rich in vitamin C. If you want to include stress, you could include some vitamin B rich foods, which we'll get into in a second. But I like a trail mix, and I just pulled up my little recipe here: a quarter cup of pumpkin seeds, a quarter cup of almonds, 2 tablespoons of dark chocolate chips, and I prefer the ones that are 70% cacao, 2 tablespoons dried cherries, particularly the tart ones. The tart ones are much, much better for you. And then you just mix them into separate containers, and you can always have them at your fingertips anytime you have some acute stress. And it has that, the different textures to it. If you prefer just going with nuts, and I know you mentioned the almonds, the walnuts, and maybe even some cashews or whatever, you can even add a little bit of cayenne pepper. You can add some garlic. You can add some onion powder in there, and it adds a little bit of flavor. And you want to reduce the salt. You can even add general pepper if you want, but that crunchiness really, really helps to satisfy any sort of cravings. And anytime you're crunching on something, you can get rid of a little bit of anxiety, I think. What do you think?
Absolutely. No question about it. There's so many foods that are mood enhancing. And so the to help stabilize mood, one you mentioned dark chocolate chips. And I think dark
Yum.
chocolate is definitely a winner here. So it's got to be low in sugar. It's got not the milk chocolate, but the dark chocolate is good, and it has flavonoids, flavonols, and that is good brain food. Not only that, but I think the intestinal bacteria convert a lot of the healthy foods we eat into important brain chemicals that we're still learning about. So we know that the gut, especially the intestinal bacteria, speak to the brain and vice versa through a chemical conversation that's tremendously complex. So when we eat healthy foods that the gut bacteria like, for example, fermented foods like kimchi or sauerkraut or yogurt,
Or
um,
kefir.
or high fiber foods, and then green foods especially. So all the things
The
that make
folate
food,
rich ones.
yes, folate rich foods as well. So those enhance intestinal bacteria, which then send favorable mood chemicals to the brain, and then um, the brain sends signals to the gut for healthier gut activity. And so the brain and the gut talk to each other, and that's going to be a strategy that we can use to help decrease the burden when you quit smoking.
So a lot of people talk about depression as they quit smoking. So you're talking about those serotonin supporting foods, maybe even a turkey sandwich on whole wheat.
Tryptophan, yes. So So, um, quitting cigarettes and nicotine lowers dopamine in the brain, but also serotonin and a variety of other feel good chemicals and endorphins, for example. And so, yes, you want to eat foods that can help replace those chemicals in the brain. So, tryptophan is one of those, and you get that from turkey, is a good source for that. I
And
also like, oh, go ahead.
how about those? And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but the tyrosine rich foods, the almonds, the avocados, bananas, pumpkin seeds.
Yes, that's a good point. Tyrosine rich foods, yes. So that helps um, provide the raw material for healthy neurotransmitters. Green tea is another food that can help raise dopamine levels and serotonin levels. And so that has green tea has antioxidants and flavonols, and other phytochemicals that are good for brain health. And tea is relaxing anyway. And so you mentioned, lavender tea, green tea, chamomile tea, turmeric, and cinnamon goes nicely in some of these. All these can help.
And you were talking about some of those antioxidant rich foods, such as the dark chocolate, but also berries. The blueberries, the blackberries, the raspberries have to be good. And especially there's a little bit of a hand to mouth keeps you busy because you have these small little pieces that you're putting in your mouth.
Yes, that hand to mouth is another issue that
Ooh,
people
yeah.
have to deal with when they quit smoking. So shall we focus on that a little bit? So,
We'll get to that in a second because
okay.
I have a few little recipes that I think people will find really fun and pretty satisfying with what you talked about, the antioxidant rich foods, especially. Why not try a dark chocolate dipped strawberry with 70% cacao, a little bit of coconut oil? You put in a saucepan, warm it up, freeze a strawberry, and then you dip the strawberry into that dark chocolate, and you have a beautiful antioxidant punch right there.
I love it. That is great.
Maybe even what I call a happy brain bowl, which includes some cooked quinoa, baked salmon, spinach, avocado, just a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds, not too many, and then you can add a little bit of antioxidant rich and healthy fat olive oil over it with a little bit of cayenne pepper, maybe some regular pepper, a little bit of garlic.
I agree 100%. Not only do those taste good, but the intestinal bacteria love those kinds of foods, and they thrive and creates healthy populations of intestinal bacteria. So it's a win-win.
Now, I haven't tried adding a little bit of kimchi to that or sauerkraut, but what I do with kimchi is in the mornings. It's especially important. I like a lot of texture with my eggs, so I one egg yolk, two egg whites, some spinach. You get those leafy greens in there, some mushrooms. You can even add to it, but lots and lots of kimchi and a little bit of cayenne pepper, and you mix that up, and you have a wonderful breakfast that would be really satisfying, I think.
I love it. I agree 100%.
So how about stress? We talked about anxiety. We talked about, the mood, the depression. I want to go back to the stress because I know you can classify possibly stress and anxiety as a little bit one and the same, but there's a little separation between the two. Would you mind talking a little bit about stress as a trigger and the nutrients that it depletes? Which key vitamins and minerals are really most affected in that, and which foods should people prioritize to replenish those nutrients?
Okay, yeah, great question. So, yeah, stress and anxiety are similar but not identical. They often go hand in hand, and when people are quitting smoking, they have plenty of each. So, smoking does deplete vitamin C and omega 3s and magnesium that we talked about, and so you want to try to replace those with food. So, citrus foods have vitamin C. Oranges, for example, grapefruits, lemons. The threonine in the L-theanine again in green tea can help with stress reduction, and these help raise serotonin and dopamine. So those are the first ones that come to mind. Omega-3, also we talked about how to get that back through vegetarian and non-vegetarian sources.
And I even mentioned the medicinal mushrooms. So adding that
Ah,
to I add mushrooms to everything, the reishi mushrooms and any other medicinal mushrooms that are out there.
yes, I agree. I love mushrooms. There's so many different kinds of mushrooms in the grocery store in addition to the medicinal ones.
And if I can't get regular mushrooms, I know this is a little bit more expensive, but I just use a little bit. I get some turkey tail mushroom powder and I just sprinkle it on everything. I even sprinkle it in my smoothies. I sprinkle it on my eggs. It has a little bit of an earthy, chocolatey flavor to it, a little bit like raw
Mm,
cacao.
nice. I like that idea. I'm a big fan of just mushrooms that you get in the grocery store. And mu once a month, I make a pot of mushroom soup.
You're gonna have to send us that recipe. I bet that's absolutely delicious. And I bet you though, it doesn't have cream in it. I'm going to have to adapt it to my diet, which is non-dairy because I'm anaphylactic to dairy. So I use walnut cream or I use a coconut
Oh,
cream.
that's a great idea. I've heard of people using tahini in their mushroom soup instead of dairy because it can add cream and healthy fats. My mushroom soup is pretty low in fat. I do use some olive oil. I also have carrots and celery, and I just puree it really, really smooth, and it tastes great that way. I'm a big lover of dill, so my mushroom soup has a lot of dill.
I've never, you're going to have to send us that recipe because also what I do is I make a cream tuna and it sounds like you can take that soup and saute a piece of wild tuna in there, or you even mentioned that canned tuna can be really healthy for people as well. So, and even the less expensive tuna versus the more expensive tuna in a can is really helpful. And then I add some fresh mushrooms to it and I put it over riced cauliflower that I get the Jolly Green Giant version, but you can get whatever version in the freezer. And you pour it over top of that. And I add sunflower seeds. And then I chop up an egg, a hard boiled egg over top of it. It makes for a really nice, satisfying meal.
Oh, that sounds really good. So my mushroom soup would be a nice complement to that. And if you're feeling extra indulgent, you could use wild rice,
That's a good
which
idea. Wild
also
rice,
has
or do
an
you
egg.
prefer wild rice or do you prefer brown rice?
Oh, wild rice for sure. So why anything wild, which we've talked about as a recurring theme. So yes, so wild rice is I would consider it more of a vegetable than a starch. And it because it's wild, it has a much more favorable omega-3 profile in it. And I grew up in Minnesota where wild rice is much more prevalent than other parts of the country. So to put wild rice in a mushroom soup would not be unusual where I come from.
Is it lower glycemic than some of the regular rice?
Yeah, wild rice is lower glycemic. I would not call it a low glycemic food, but so it's probably not as low as cauliflower shaped rice, but compared to brown rice or white rice, it'll be lower.
And just keeping on the theme of the stress fighting foods, I
Sure.
also want to mention B vitamins can be depleted through smoking as well. And those are incredibly important, especially for people with heart disease and peripheral artery disease as well, because those B vitamins, if they're depleted, you're going to end up feeling a little bit more neuropathic pain. I know quite a few podiatrists that prescribe complex B vitamins that are methylated to help reduce the neuropathy.
Yes, that's a good point. And so, good food sources for that would include whole grains and also nuts, and um, you want a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, of course. And some people do have uh, decreased MTHFR enzymes. I'm one of them. You are too. And I also take methylated folate every day, and because there may be something to that. But if you can get it from food, um, all the better.
Okay, and this is my favorite one. We saved the best for last, in my opinion. The hand to mouth habits that you hinted, and craving busters.
That hand to mouth is can,
Hardest habit to break.
can be difficult for many
Yep.
people. So, as you may guess, cigarette-shaped foods can sometimes help, but you want those to be healthy. So, carrot sticks come to mind, celery sticks, bell peppers, all those things are healthy and good for you. Some people chew gum so that their mouth is busy. Uh, the trail mix that you mentioned can, can work for that. Also, sunflower seeds that are in the shell will keep your mouth busy and your hands busy. Just removing them from the shell. Seeds like pumpkin seeds can all work. The staying just taking yourself away from where food is can just distract you from eating, and so that too is a big part of it. Having rules about closing the kitchen when at night, but having a always having um, munchable foods around that are low in calories can help you. But also, it's a lot easier to resist temptations when you're not hungry. And so, eating foods that are comforting and as satisfying as well as healthy is an important part of the strategy.
And what's really satisfying is, and I know for a lot of people, not just munching on the vegetable sticks, but also having a hummus, a healthy dip, an avocado dip, because we mentioned avocado as being an incredible source of nutrients that your body needs to stop some of these cravings and to replenish some of the nutrients that smoking has depleted. So, having an avocado dip, having a hummus dip that are readily available in the fridge. And that kind of trends me into, or leads me into our next part of the conversation, which is, how do you prepare? You need to pre-portion. You need to take time, let's say on a Sunday afternoon, cut up these vegetables. Some stores even have pre-cut vegetables if you're a little bit lazy. I mean, you're spending a lot anyway on these cigarettes. Take that same money and instead buy those already cut carrot sticks, and they have pre-made platters with radishes and bell peppers and carrot sticks and celery sticks, and even the jicama sticks, which are incredible. They're light, they're a little bit sweet. They remind me of an apple, maybe even an apple and peanut butter. Just have these things pre-portioned at the beginning of the week, creating those bags of trail mix or nuts, having those set aside. So at a moment's notice, when you have one of those acute cravings, you can go ahead and have a pre-portioned snack that is available to you that you can use instead of taking a cigarette. What do you think, Dr.
I
Dansinger?
agree 100%. That's right on. And of course, the combination of carrot, celery, and pepper sticks, jicama sticks, dipped into hummus or guacamole or salsa all
Oh,
makes a lot of sense.
salsa. Yes, salsa with cucumbers is
Right.
amazing.
So people miss the cigarettes. A lot of this is subconscious brain saying, I miss the excitement that I used to get from the nicotine. And so people if they're not careful, will replace that with sugar and starch and animal fat. But by being prepared in the ways that you mentioned, you can be prepared for that, and that'll ease the transition. It takes time for the taste buds to grow back, and so that food can taste bland for a little while, and um, so you want flavor in your food, herbs and spices, and put the time in to making meals attractive um, for your taste buds. And after about a month or so, those taste buds should be back pretty much fully, and the foods will really start to pop at that point. The healthy foods will start to pop.
And you mentioned popping. Very we forgot air popped popcorn, natural popcorn, and you can put some of that healthy olive oil on it that is cold pressed, early harvest, hand picked on there that packs that antioxidant punch and adds a little healthy fat to your diet. And then sprinkle a little bit of garlic on it and a little bit of cayenne pepper. And I even add a little bit of onion powder. And the onion powder and the garlic together, to me, replace a little bit of that salt taste, that salt craving that you may have. And so that is definitely an option for you. But what about the importance of hydration? And you need to hydrate, but you can also incorporate some of the herbs and some of the fruits even into the water. You can infuse the water with some of these in order to give you a little bit more of a nutrient burst and make your flavors pop.
I like your idea. Lemon water is a good starting point for that. And um, yes, putting,
Strawberry and basil, strawberry and that holy basil, or cucumber and mint.
I like them all. Yes, those are great, great ideas. And then the teas that we mentioned, green tea in particular. And I like to load my fluid intake in the first half of the day before 6 p.m. because sleep is important and we don't want people having to get up several times more than they have to during the night because they were so vigorous with their hydration during the day. And so a lot of this hydration, if it's early enough, soon before long enough before bedtime, is the way to do it. Great ideas.
Fantastic. I think these are really amazing. I want to just quickly, before we close out here, I want to bring in two very important people to say just a few words and to comment on the incredible insight that you've provided, any other ideas they have. We have Becca Nelson, we have Douglas Salisbury that are here that actually run our 12-week smoking cessation program for the Global PAD Association. And if anyone hearing this wants to sign up for the program, make sure you call our Leg Saver hotline. It is on the screen behind me. It's 1-833-PAD legs, LEGS. Rebecca, what do you think so far?
Fantastic information. This can be used for anybody. No, I just really, really appreciate it too. And it's great information for our group. The only thing I wanted to add on, like smoothies, I like smoothies personally also because I can tend to be a picky eater. I know there's others of us out there. And like on a typical basis, I will shy away from things like lettuce or like spinach and all that. But I put stuff like that in a smoothie and you can't tell it's in there. You get all the nutrition and everything.
I
Fantastic.
love
I
it.
love that as well. I can hide anything in there. You add a few strawberries in there, and if you have the strawberry actually hides with a little bit of lemon, hides the
Oh
taste
yeah.
of kale or spinach that's in there.
Yeah,
You
like
just
I can't taste it at all, so it's great for putting stuff in that you really want to be able to eat. Yeah, pop it all in there.
I have a patient who
fantastic.
loves to put mint in the smoothies, and he grows his own mint for that purpose.
Oh, that's cool. I like that idea too.
Me too. Thank you so much,
You know, it's
Rebecca. I
awesome
think that
information.
I think that Douglas is busy preparing for our Monday night smoking
Hmm.
cessation program. So make sure you do join that program. You can also go to padhelp.org for more information, and you can email info, at padhelp.org to get the sign up sheet to join our 12-week smoking cessation program, which is at no cost to patients. Thank you so much for joining us. And once again, great information from Dr. Michael Dansinger. If you do want to join his diabetes reversal program, make sure you go to diabetesreversalpartners.com in Minnesota, in Virginia, in New Hampshire, in Massachusetts, and in Florida. And we're continuing to grow states. It is available covered by Medicare and Medicare Advantage plans that are PPO. So definitely check that out. He has worked with several of our patients and he has been very successful in reversing diabetes in those patients. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week.